I am Trey with the First Date Fix, and today we're going to be talking about how men do not chase. And what I mean by that is men no longer chase, but we pursue women. And it is never fun chasing anyone, especially if you're not even sure if the person you're chasing is even interested, or if they're not entertaining droves and droves of other people, which 9 times out of 10, if they're very attractive and you're not in a relationship and they have no idea who you really are, they always have options, which is exactly why men don't chase in 2020. But let me break it down to you. We are in the age of gender equality more than we ever have been. I think we went through a phase of thinking that we got it right with gender equality, but we didn't. And in the last 5 years, we've been trying to push for gender equality and diversity in all aspects of life. And I am for it, as I'm sure all of you are for it as well. It needs to translate in every aspect of our life if we want to push forward. And what that means is that men more than ever are starting to realize that, look, I'm for gender equality and stuff like that. So I really want the kind of relationship where it goes that way, i.e., if I'm pursuing a woman, I want some give and take. I want to have an understanding that she's willing to kind of meet me halfway. And year after year, the paradigm and mentality of men chasing women is dying within the male community, because we're realizing now that the efforts of those labors really don't add up to that much. Now, for those people who love gender roles and believe in traditional roles of around the 50s and the 60s, that's okay. I'm not bashing you. Like, I fully love and respect the idea of people who just say, hey, look, I'm a woman, I buy into those gender roles, and that's how I want to be treated, and vice versa with the men. I'm not hating on those people, but in the initial stages of dating, there's really no way a man or a woman can know those things unless you vehemently express that from communication before you've even met the person, or when you go on a first date, okay? And then you could have those people who are progressive, but in the middle of the road, where they both say, hey, I like it when men do this, I like it when women do that, and you both have a lovely conversation, and again, you go off into the sunset. But, for the most part, we live in a world where we are very progressive. We like things to progress in the dating universe as much as it has progressed into the Western world that we're living in today. Unless you're very clear about your expectations and how much you say, okay, in the real world, this is how much I want in regards to equality. But when it comes to relationships, I'm okay with 1 or 2 gender roles, right? Unless you communicate those things, you're not going to be getting the men that you truly desire. You can have it both ways, but you have to be willing to communicate that, because if you don't, you're never going to have it both ways. When you say you want men to chase, you're giving us way too much power. When a woman says she wants a man to chase, that means that essentially she is waiting for the right person to come up, sweep her off her feet, and chase her. And it sounds romantic in the movies and in the TV shows, but that's just not real life. Because 8 times out of 10, what happens is that the person who is chasing you is usually not the person that you truly want. And essentially, it just gives you no power. You're always sat there waiting for the right person to come along because you're wanting to be chased. Now, if you have some sort of equality in the pursuit of having a nice, healthy, monogamous relationship, you might start to see things changing. When you want a man to chase you, there is a small tinge of entitlement that comes along with it. When you think, I'm the prize, and the man should always chase me. And unfortunately, the high quality men that you truly desire are going to see that, and they're not going to be attractive to someone that has some sort of misguided sense of entitlement as to why someone would chase them, when really you're both on equal terms of attraction. There isn't one thing that one person has specifically done that would justify really any kind of chasing from the get-go. Expecting a man to always ask the questions, to always plan dates, to always put himself out there, to always be the vulnerable one, to always be the person that essentially is putting everything on the line is just extremely unrealistic. But if you want something that's real, if you want something that's genuine, if you want something that you've always been looking for, you're going to have to change it up and lose that sense of thinking that a man's duty is to chase you. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, I've had men chase me from Kingdom Come back in the day, and I've managed to secure a high value male. Okay, like how long did it really last for? If you're still to this day with a successful, happy, monogamous relationship with a man chase you from the get-go, hey, that's fantastic, sis, especially if that was before 2010. But in the last 5 years, I very much doubt that would be something that would come into fruition, because typically, if a man chases you from the get-go, what will happen is eventually he will resent you and he will either ghost or break up with you. Because at some point, if he is that true high quality male that you're desiring, he's gonna realize, why did I even chase this person? Like, they haven't necessarily brought anything to the table from the get-go that I did. I put all this work in, and ultimately, what have I got at the end of the day? Because love is conditional, unfortunately. And it always goes back to what I've been saying, okay? The top 70% of women are always going to go for the top 30% of men. And if they truly are the top 30% of men, somewhere along the line, they're going to realize this woman that I put all the initial work in the initial stages just isn't really worth it anymore. And they're going to end up breaking up with you unless you try to have some kind of even level playing field from the get-go. The reason why these top 30% men will never chase is because they are in the top 30%. If you're not willing to allow things to be equal in regards to equal pursuit from the get-go, they're gonna find someone who is. So you could sit there and think, I'm the prize. This much might be true, but the fact of the matter is that that sense of entitlement is going to exude in the way you message, in the way you communicate, in the way you present yourself on the first date. And he's gonna be thinking to himself, you know what? I don't think this is that worth it. There's someone else who's more than willing to give me their time of day without me having to jump through a million hoops to get to her, because it's just not worth it. Time is the most valuable commodity, and the more people wise up, the more people read in the age of information, they're going to realize that the person who they're supposed to be with isn't going to make them jump through so many hoops just for a first freaking date. So if men aren't chasing women, and because you're a woman you refuse to chase, where does that leave us? It leaves us nowhere. It leaves us with broken hearts. It leaves us with people being ghosted on either side. It leaves us with pride and ego and narcissism getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger every year, where people start saying, where have all the good men gone? And men start saying, I don't trust none of these women, man. Right? Like, where does this leave us? It leaves us nowhere. Which means that we have to have a middle ground where men and women are equally pursuing the people that we are both mutually attracted to. Men learn earlier on that chasing just isn't worth it, because ultimately the kind of woman that wants to lay out all of these hoops for you to jump through, that wants you to chase them, just isn't a quality woman. No man or woman that has hoops for you to jump through in order to be with them just isn't worth it in the long run. They're just not. From the get-go, the woman has said, I am worth more than you, therefore you should chase me. And that just doesn't sit well with people eventually. They might not initially, because they're so excited with how attractive she is, and they think to themselves, wow, I've gotten the prize. But somewhere along the line, they realize that that person isn't the prize, because a person worth their salt is never going to make anyone jump through hoops just to have their time. A lot of people who slide in my DMs and say, I've been ghosted, they broke up with me, and I gave them everything. I always say to them, could you send me screenshots of your initial text messages, of your initial communication? How did it go? In the first 1 to 4 days, who was putting in most of the work? Who was calling each other more? Who was trying to get to know each other more? And it takes a bit of prodding, but eventually I realized that it was the man who was initiating all of those things. And eventually he goes ghost because he gets bored. It's not fun when you're constantly putting in the work, because you realize, you know what? Sod this. I don't need this. The last time I was in a happy relationship, it wasn't nearly this much work. I do not think this is worth it. So unless you have a perfect, scintillating, amazing personality where everyone loves you. You are incredibly funny. You are making, 6 figures plus. You are a part-time model. You can also play the instrument and speak 3 different languages. You've gone to 50 plus countries. Unless you literally are the perfect woman, there is no way you should ever really make someone chase. Even then, I don't think it's justified, but at least I feel like you have some sort of grounds for having a man chase you. So, what are some solutions? If they're asking you questions, ask them questions back. It's a novel thing, but you'd be surprised. Like if I was in the elevator and I said to someone, "Hey, how are you?" Guess what they'd say back to me? "How are you?" But you would be surprised how many women in the past I have communicated with and I've said, "Hey, how's your day going?" And they're like, "Great, thanks. I've done this at work." And I'd be like, "Oh, that's fantastic. I'm so glad you accomplished that." Crickets, like crickets. They wouldn't even respond and ask me how my day is. If that person is that selfish, you need to walk. Men, respect yourself, kings. You need to walk away from that person. If they don't even have clairvoyance enough to realize, I wonder how their day's doing. They're not interested in you, man. I don't care how busy someone is. It goes back to that stranger on the elevator. "Hey, how are you?" "Not bad, thanks. How are you?" If you send LOL, if you send an emoji and the man doesn't respond, don't be surprised. You're showing that you're not really willing to put that much effort in. It's okay to send the LOL and emoji and then a text after that. But if you like their message and don't respond, don't be surprised if this man ghosts, because he's not going to chase someone who's not putting in that much effort. There's your immediate solution right there to stop high quality men from ghosting. If you truly desire to find that person that you've been dreaming of all this time, despite you telling yourself that you haven't been, okay, you have to change things. We know the quote, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again and again. But Trey, what if they don't like me and I try and make things equal from the get-go and it turns them off? Queen, if you are going after a man the same way he's going after you and that turns him off, he's not a genuine person. He's a coward and he can't handle it when a woman is stepping up to the plate and is meeting him halfway. This guy is not worth your time, trust me. If you keep giving men the attitude of they have to chase you, you're going to get the same results. You're going to be going around in circles time and time again and wasting. If that's the place that you're in, then do you. But it doesn't serve you any purpose. You are not the prize. I'm not saying this to bash women, but there's literally nothing you've done from the initial stages of a conversation that means you are a prize. If that's truly how you feel, then I generally feel sorry for you, because life isn't that simple. But instead, relationship prizes are grown. They are never earned. They never have to be earned by anyone. And what I mean by that is you both become prizes together. You both see each other being that prize when you get to know each other. That is the most humanly organic way a true, successful, happy, monogamous relationship can be birthed. When you both get to know each other equally from the get-go, and one day you turn around and you look at that man and you think, wow, he is the prize. He's such an incredible person. And he says, wow, she truly is the prize. She truly is the woman that every man wants. I am so happy to be with her. I'd love to be in a relationship. Will never be the prize from the get-go. That attitude is unbecoming of anyone, man or woman. And I'm not saying that to tear you down. I believe that you are incredible, successful, independent, happy, amazing women. But you can't put yourself on a pedestal with someone you don't know. That is incredibly narcissistic and unhealthy, and I need us to be better than that. Men too, okay? Men, you are not the prize, okay? Prizes are grown together. Prizes are realized, okay? They're not just given at the drop of a hat. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.